and welcome back to the podcast, episode 26. We're on YouTube. Welcome to the channel. Um, I'm also streaming on Twitch. So we're on Twitch and we're on YouTube for Super Bowl Sunday. So we're streaming to both platforms. I'm going to make sure that I'm good to go on Twitch. I know I'm good to go on YouTube. All right, we got someone in the chat already from YouTube. That's good. Let me just make sure that the Twitch stream is all good, and then we'll get ready to rock for the Super Bowl, episode 26 now. Let me just make sure that we're good to go. We are. Cool. All right. Look, here we are. We're here, episode 26. We're watching the Super Bowl. I got my Giants ring on. This is the one I have. This is from my Twitch. I'm still going to be using that probably for Madden streams. So, and I'll let you guys know if we will do that. Before I start, let me make sure that let me post to my IG that we are live on the Super Bowl. We are live. And then let me get this. If you're new, because we're on YouTube now, welcome. Yeah, I know it's weird because it says episode 26 because I've done the last 25 on because I've done the last 25 on Twitch, but now we're here, on YouTube. Okay. Nice voice crack. All right, so I didn't do one last week because that was the Pro Bowl and there's not much to talk about. I watched a little bit of it. It wasn't bad, I will say. The Pro Bowl was actually pretty fun. I thought that it may have been a little bit better, but I thought that it was pretty fun. So I'll give the Pro Bowl a plus on that. With the okay, that's great. I just have my mic problems. With Manning, the Manning brothers going up against each other, that always adds some flavor to it. 5 minutes into my first YouTube stream, we already got mic problems. I don't know if this happens. Hold on, just give me a second. All right, that should be good. No, it's not. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. But yeah, the Pro Bowl I thought was pretty fun. I liked it. I thought that it was different. They've done flag football the last couple of years. But yeah, overall, I'd give it a plus on it. I prefer like the normal football game that they play, but flag football I think is different because they're trying to broaden their horizons. All right, so what should we talk about first? Let's start with the news that we had. What I'm gonna do, just so you guys know, I'm gonna do news for the first half, and then I'll go into Super Bowl stuff for the second half of the pod today, just so you guys know. All right, so let's start with the continued expansion of the game. The Eagles are going to play a game in Brazil, week 1, in their continued expansion of the game. This is going to be week 1. It's going to be on Friday night, and it's a home game for the Eagles. So I'm assuming I'm going to put a large. I'm assuming that's going to be in one of the football stadiums they have down, like soccer stadiums they have down there. So a lot of people are going to be there. Now, this means that obviously the Giants, Commanders, or Cowboys have a shot at going to Brazil week 1, and then there's a bunch of other teams I can't think of off the top of my head. But here, Brazil, I think it's different. They're really trying to expand the game. Right now, they are now playing a game in Brazil, which I'll talk about next. They're playing a game in Britain. They're playing a game going obviously America. They're trying. I think they did get a deal where they're going to play a game in France. So they are like really, 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 really expanding the game. So I don't know how I feel about this. I want to know what you guys think about this. I'm not I'm not a big fan um of them expanding. Now, I will say this: I don't think it's bad for football. You're going to get a lot more money coming in, but when you have all of this, it means like a lot more travel. I mean, you have Germany is still the farthest amount of travel for all teams, I think, but like I don't understand the point of having all these games in one year. I mean, you're gonna have Brazil week 1, Spain. I don't know when that's gonna be. Brazil, not Brazil. The England games are usually week 5, week 6. They're early on. Germany's a little bit later. I'm not a big fan of it. Something I would do though is this. I think it would be a great idea for the NFL to periodically do games. So I think the Mexico game every year, I don't really care about that. Like that's something that can happen every year because the travel isn't that much more. But Brazil, when you have Brazil games and then you have Germany games and England games, they need to rotate them. And then now Spain games, they need to rotate that. In my opinion, you need to rotate that. Yeah, it's the national, not the international. I agree with that. When it comes down to it, I would rather have them rotate where they go rather than having every single spot every single year because at some point it's going to be a lot on the players because some teams like Seattle, they travel a lot even when they don't go across even when they don't go to Europe and South America, they still travel a lot because of where they're placed. So personally, I think it's okay. I'm not, and again, the Spain games are going to be played where Real Madrid plays, so it's going to be like a massive stadium, and the vibes are going to be high. But like, from my perspective, I agree. Like what the players think, they're like, we don't want to travel this much. We'd rather stay a little bit more closer to home, and I agree with that. I'd rather have them stay a little bit closer as well. Okay, so let's get into what are we gonna do next? Let's do draft day rumors. Let's talk about dot bears. Dot bears, dot bears, dot bears. Okay, so you can see here. Here's what they need. Everyone's reporting that they need a historic haul to trade the number 1 pick. So what would that be? A lot. Even to move, I think this is even to move up 1 spot if you're Washington or 2 spots if you're New England. They need a lot. So, um, let's say for our sake, let's say the Giants want to move up from 6 to 1. For them to move up from 6 to 1, and this is on what I'm assuming because last year they got a lot too. What I'm assuming is from 6 to 1, you're going to need at least 3 first round picks, at least 2 seconds, and a high quality player. So this would be for the Giants their 6th overall pick this year. There's both of their seconds this year, a first next year, a first the year after, and a guy like Dexter Lawrence. It's going to be like that much. That's what people are saying. And I'm a Giants fan. I wouldn't do that. I'd stay at 6 or trade up not to number 1. You saw what the Panthers did last year. They traded up from 9 to 1, and that's because last year the Bears like Justin Fields over guys like Bryce Young, guys like CJ Stroud. This year, I think it's pretty clear that they want Caleb Williams. Everyone's been saying they want Caleb, they want Caleb, they want Caleb. And Ian Rappaport's saying if they don't trade the number 1 pick, Justin Fields is gone. And I don't know who he would go to. Atlanta's been rumored, but I think this is interesting how it's going to shape up if a team is going to literally sell all of their capital to get a guy like Caleb Williams, or throw a curveball and get a guy like Drake May or Jaden Daniels. That would be kind of funny, but I can't envision teams wanting to trade players or wanting to trade up when the QB class in this draft is deep enough for you to get like a good quality starter in like the 2nd or 3rd round, and like Bo Nix or Penix, one of those guys. So I don't see the Bears trading because of how high or how much they want. but that's just me. Here's a team that has been rumored that they want, or maybe not want to, but the potential is there to trade. The rumor has it that New England is willing to trade the number 3 pick and get their QB in free agency. Now, before you're like, what are you talking about? In this QB free agency class, you have guys like Kirk Cousins, you have guys like Gardner Minshew. Those are guys that are good starters for a couple of years. I think Gardner Minshew with New England, I think he would be a good player there for about 3 years. I think that's fair. I think Cousins, same thing, 3 years. I don't think he'd fit in New England, but I think that you get the idea. Um, you know, I I personally I don't see them. I also don't see them trading. I think they're going to need a lot because of how much they like. There are guys like Marvin Harrison, guys like Jaden Daniels that will improve their team a lot. I don't see them trading back. Again, it really depends on what happens in free agency. Do they go out and give Gardner Minshew the large contract? Do they go out and trade for a star receiver? Like I don't see them doing that. So I feel like the most likely thing that would happen would probably be them staying put at number 3. So 2 teams in the top 3 with trade rumors. Bears don't want to. The Patriots, not saying that they necessarily want to, but it's definitely a possibility that it could happen, which I think is interesting. Like, if I'm New England, your team is not very good. You need to get your star, your franchise QB, or Marvin Harrison now because you just got a new you got a new head coach. And the thing is, if you have a rookie head coach, you need to get a rookie QB. And it's clear, and I've gotten reports like an hour ago that said that the Patriots are going to try and trade Mac Jones this offseason. Um, will it happen? I mean, probably. I don't know who's going to want him. But if I'm Jerron Mayo and I'm like, I want to put my input on this team, he's going to want to bring in his own QB, right? That will help him build his team to the way he wants to. Okay. Let's react to NFL honors. Okay, in this show. Thank you. NFL honors was this past Thursday, I believe, right? I'm pretty sure it was Thursday. Great show. I didn't watch much of it, but I saw some clips of it. Keegan Michael Key does a great. This is his like 3rd time hosting. He's done a great job right now for us. Okay, so I had Joe Burrow winning the MVP, which was far from the truth. I had CMC winning Offensive Player of the Year, which didn't happen. I had TJ Watt winning Defensive Player of the Year, which should have happened, but didn't. Whatever. I had Bijan winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. That didn't happen. I had Will Anderson winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. I had that happening. I don't know if that should have happened or not. I feel like Witherspoon could have probably gotten it over Will Anderson, but that's just me. And then Damar Hamlin for Comeback Player of the Year. I thought that was a lock, but that didn't happen. Joe Flacco won it. And I had D'Amico Ryans winning Coach of the Year, which, again, did not happen. I feel like Stefanski did well. Okay, so let's go through each award. Let's start at the MVP with Lamar. This was like one of the weakest MVP awards or MVP seasons in a very, very long time. I mean, like I personally think that CMC was more valuable to the Niners than Lamar was to the Ravens. It's the truth. And I know the MVP, the regular season awards, and I understand that, but when you look at the impact even into the playoffs, CMC is so much more important to the Niners than Lamar is to the Ravens based on this past season. Now, I'm not saying that Lamar is undeserving. I'm just saying that his stats compared to a normal MVP season are mediocre. I mean, you compare it to his first MVP year, it was incredibly much worse. And again, I'll say this again. I don't think Lamar is a bad QB. I think he's a great quarterback, and I'm not saying that he didn't deserve it. I'm just saying it was mediocre. He was one vote away from getting a unanimous vote, which I thought was kind of crazy. I thought that Allen or CMC would have gotten more votes, but that didn't happen. It's like, okay. I'm not surprised that Prescott or Purdy didn't get any votes. That's not really surprising to me. I don't know how Purdy and Dak were even MVP candidates. That just didn't make a ton of sense to me. But when I don't know if I personally think that this was like the one year, and it goes to show the MVP is a QB award because this is the year where Tyreek almost had 2K, and not Cooper Cup. CMC ran for like a ton of yards and a ton of touchdowns, and he scored like every single game except for like one, I think. Like this was like that one year where I felt like a skill position player could win it, and he didn't. They didn't. They gave it to a QB. Um, Now, out of all the options, Lamar is probably the right choice, but a little iffy that. Offensive player of the year is obviously CMC. There's no debate. You can argue Tyreek, but like, what argument are you going to make? Oh, Tyreek is valuable because Tua played well. Tua played well because his line was better, and Waddle was there, and Mostert had 20 touchdowns. It's not all just Tyreek Hill. CMC is the foundation of the Niners offense. Like when you look at even today, it's going to be obvious they need to run the ball to win. And if they don't, then they're not going to. So I agree with CMC as offensive player of the year. I think that's fair. Myles Garrett winning the defensive player of the year. Okay, fine. Not saying that Myles Garrett's not a absolutely outstanding player because he definitely is. But I feel like TJ Watt probably was a little bit more deserving. But Myles Garrett is not necessarily a bad choice. I think he's been a freak all year. So I think that's a fair point um, for defensive player of the year. Offensive rookie of the year went to CJ Stroud, which is deserving. But I feel like this is like that one year where you could have had co-offensive rookie of the years because Puka was fantastic all year. Puka Nacua was unreal. Even in the playoffs, again, in that one game against the co-MVP, or not co-MVP, co-offensive rookie of the year. But overall, I think that CJ Stroud was definitely deserving. Will Anderson is defensive rookie of the year. I had that in my predictions, but I'm surprised that he won. I thought that Witherspoon played better. I thought that I think Will Anderson was red hot down the stretch. That's really what helped him. Because Witherspoon wasn't as good down the stretch, and from like week 10 and on, Will Anderson was the best defensive rookie. There was no doubt. Jalen Carter wasn't nearly as good as he was in the first 10 weeks. Who else was there? Witherspoon was good. I think Brian Branch was up for it. I'm not really surprised I didn't get it. But hey, I think that it's not necessarily a bad choice. I just feel like I personally would have chosen Devin Witherspoon. I thought that he was fantastic all year, as many people did. So that's just how the voters voted. Comeback player of the year was Joe Flacco. I disagree with this. It should have been Baker. It should have 100% been Baker. I mean, there's absolutely no question it should have been Baker. And here's my reasoning. Because Stefanski won Coach of the Year, Flacco should not have won Comeback Player of the Year. Because if Stefanski wins, that means he coached Flacco up to make the playoffs. So I feel like it should have been Baker or maybe even DeMar Hamlin since he died, but okay. But then again, he didn't really play well this year. But this makes it now 2 years in a row where the player who won Comeback Player of the Year came back from being bad at football. He came back last year. What did Geno come back from? He didn't come back from anything. He came back from sucking at being a QB. That's all that happened. Joe Flacco, what did he come back from? Being old? Wow, great choice. If you're going to go by that, the Comeback Player of the Year is this. A player comes back from an injury or comes back from, these last couple of years, excluding these last two NFL honors. Before that, it was the player who came back from an injury and did the most. That's what it used to be. That's why I felt that last year Barkley should have won because he was coming off of the ACL. He sucked, and then he was good again. I thought that he should have. I thought he was more deserving over a guy like Geno Smith. This year, if you're gonna do the thing based on he came back from sucking, it should have been Baker. but they chose Joe Flacco. I don't know. Coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski, very deserving of it. He was really good. He had like three, like the amount of injuries that team had, and they still made the playoffs is like actually insane. Like they were like a surprisingly good team this year. Cleveland was. Um, he was great with Watson, with Dorian Thompson Robinson, with Flacco. Doesn't matter who his QB was. He led them to wins. So overall, I would say that was pretty good for him. Now, a couple of other things when it comes to Coach of the Year. I thought that D'Amico Ryan should have won it because he did more with less. Kevin Stefanski has had a team that was good, and he made them better. Like I don't know if I would necessarily say that. I don't know if I would necessarily say that Stefanski was the right choice. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go on NFL honors, and I feel like Flacco should have. I feel like Baker should have won Comeback Player of the Year if Stefanski was Coach of the Year. Whatever. Who cares? All right. Second part of the NFL honors, they showed the NFL Hall of Fame class. Devin Hester got in, which very well deserving, greatest return man of all time. I completely agree with that. I felt like he was. I thought he should have gotten in first ballot, but he didn't. Womp womp. We have breaking news with Philly. The Eagles have given pass rusher Hassan Reddick permission to seek a trade. So interesting there. I'm looking at that as I'm looking for the Hall of Fame class. So interesting there. Who else got into the Hall of Fame? Dwight Freeney got in. Andre Johnson, Randy Gradishar, Patrick Willis, Steve McMichael, and Julius Peppers. I'm surprised that Patrick Willis got in. I mean, let me look at his stats. Because I didn't think that. I mean, I knew that he was like good. I didn't think that he was like amazingly good though. Because didn't he have like a really short career? Here, let me look at his. Oh, he's got a lot of accolades. Oh my gosh. So he was D-Roy, a 7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first team All Pro. Okay. Okay. I don't know ball. I guess he definitely deserved to get in. Who I'm surprised didn't get in is Antonio Gates. How did Antonio Gates not get in? Like, that's something I don't understand. I don't understand how Antonio Gates didn't get in. I mean, he should have been first. He should have been first ballot. I mean, there's absolutely no question about it. I don't know how he wasn't first ballot is like absolutely insane to me. I just don't see a world where Antonio Gates isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, that's BS if you think otherwise. It's like whatever. Okay. That's how we're gonna end the first half of this. When we come back, we'll talk about the Super Bowl. And yeah, that'll basically be our show. So quick break. We'll be back after. Welcome back to the pod, episode 26. We're talking Super Bowl. All right. Who's ready to talk some ball? So, Super Bowl. Niners, Chiefs. Literally the opposite of what I predicted. I predicted Lions and Ravens. That was so far off. I can't even tell you how far off that was. But hey, who cares? So, Niners, Chiefs. Both teams, the Niners are the 1 seed. Nine. The Chiefs are the 3 seed. Both teams have turned it up in the playoffs. Niners had an incredible second half comeback against the Lions. The Chiefs just basically beat Baltimore because Baltimore wasn't really good. So do what you will with that. So the major questions are really for both defenses, and I'm going to start with San Francisco. How does San Francisco slow down Patrick Mahomes? And this is a big question. How can San Francisco slow him down? And it all starts up front. The Chiefs are likely going to be without Joe Thuney. I think Joe Thuney was officially ruled out a couple of days ago. Now Nick Allegretti is the backup, and he's actually not bad, but so it's not like a big problem for Kansas City. But let's look at the San Francisco front. You have Bosa, you have Armstead, you have Chase Young. They have Javon Kinlaw, and let's talk about the front seven while we're at it. Then you have Fred Warner, and then you have Drake Greenlaw. So they're loaded up front. Or their front six, I guess. They're loaded up front. Their front six is insane. How can because it all starts up there. It all starts in the trenches. How can San Francisco slow down Mahomes? And it starts with locking down Travis Kelce. Absolutely. Kelce was absolutely on fire against Baltimore. I mean, he was getting open. Even against Buffalo, same thing. He was getting open. He was just they were just dominating. And also, Mahomes got other guys like Valdez-Scantling to work. Rashee Rice has been fantastic all year. So really, it starts with Travis Kelce. Fred Warner has a tough task. That Warner or whoever they're going to put on him, because you have to watch out for Pacheco because he's an angry runner. So it depends if they're going to put Greenlaw on Kelce and Warner on Pacheco, or Greenlaw on Pacheco and Warner on Kelce. I would do it that way: Warner on Kelce, Greenlaw on Pacheco. That's how I would do it. Only because you're probably going to have more success against Kelce that way. So here, Fred Warner needs to keep Kelce in check. If he doesn't, which I would be surprised about, then this game's going to get out of hand very, very quickly. And because once Kelce's easily locked down by Fred Warner, if let's just say Fred Warner locks down Travis Kelce 100%, that means he's gonna have to go to a second option. Let's say it's Rashee Rice. He's going up against Charvarius Ward. I would take Rice in that situation. Now let's just say Char Ward is like in his bag today and he plays really well. Okay, well then look, now you're in a situation where Mahomes has like no help, and it's gonna be like the Buccaneers Chiefs Super Bowl all over again, where Mahomes had no help, he had no offensive line. Okay, shut up. So for the Niners to slow down Mahomes, it's gonna be absolutely about containing him, and making sure Kelce is absolutely on lockdown. Have Mahomes go to his second and third options, because once he starts going to second and third options, that slows down his momentum a lot, because he wants to go drop back, look for Kelce. If Kelce isn't there, he has to look for Rice. If Rice isn't there, now he's like, oh damn, now you have to run up the middle. Oh, you have what numbers? Armstead 90, 99, 98, 94. I don't even know. A big old 90s. He's in the 90s. You have Armstead right there. He's like, you ain't going anywhere. And then you're like, okay. Well, Mahomes like, State Farm can't help me now. It's like you have a big problem now. So if I'm the Niners, you got to have a QB contain. I don't think you need to designate a QB spy at every play, because Mahomes isn't that type of guy where he's going to run on every single play. You're going to have to designate a QB spy, or a QB contain. So that means, if you guys don't know what that means, my Madden players know what it is. You usually have 4 rush, which basically means that the only way for Mahomes to run would be either up the middle in that tiny hole between Armstead and Kinlaw, or he's going to have to scramble way out of the pocket. But keep in mind, Chase Young's fast. Bosa is very fast. I mean, they're fast pass rushers. So I would definitely run QB contain on Mahomes and make sure Kelsey's on lockdown. That's what I would do if I'm San Francisco, 100%. Here's a question for the Chiefs defense. Because they have carried Kansas City for the entire year, and you can't deny that. They have been absolutely fantastic with Spagnuolo. So, how do they continue their dominance? Because they were dominant last week against Baltimore. They were dominant. They've been dominant, you know? They make all the stops that they need to. They are like a bend don't break, but there isn't a lot of bending, you know. Spagnuolo knows when he sends like those confusing blitzes that he's hoping he can get to Purdy. You know, and his secondary isn't really great, but like he doesn't have a bunch of star players. Like they're just like okay players. I mean, you have Chris Jones is good, Karlaftis is good, Nick Bolton is good. I mean, who else is there? I mean, Justin Reed's good, I guess. I mean, well, they're in the Super Bowl for a reason, but like, I mean, their corners are great. McDuffie has been fantastic all year, and L'Jarius Sneed has been great. So they have pieces, but they don't have it's not like a super team. So really, how can Kansas City contain the Niners offense? High powered. Purdy, who has actually grown on me the last couple of days. I used to be like, he's not that good. Well, he is carried by his weapons. Let's be real about that. But he's carried by his weapons. We know that. But he still is a solid game manager. And yes, he's a game manager. He's an above average game manager. He manages the game well. He has Kittle, who's going to be I'm saying this in man coverage ways. Nick Bolton, I'm assuming, is going to have George Kittle. And then, I mean, you're going to bring safety down for CMC. Give maybe Justin Reed on CMC. And then the receivers, you're going to have, I mean, who's going to be on Kyle Juszczyk, too? I mean, that's something you have to keep in mind. You're going to have Sneed on Ayuk, I'd imagine, then McDuffie on Debo. That matchup right there, that McDuffie and Debo will decide the game right there. Trent McDuffie needs to absolutely lock in, get the strap going. He needs to dial in. Because once Debo gets going, it's over. Because let's be real here. Purdy's first option when he drops back is Debo. The offense runs through Debo through the air. It does. And obviously it runs through CMC on the ground. I mean, that's just a given. So if Kansas City, if Trent McDuffie specifically, if he can lock down Debo, because once Purdy has to look, because he gets happy feet. He can get happy feet. If Debo's not there, he's like, oh no, Debo's not there. I have 4 other All-Pro options, but I don't know how to throw to them other than Debo. You know, what are you gonna do about that? I don't know. And it's definitely gonna be an interesting matchup to see how McDuffie locks up Debo. And then I think Sneed and Ayuk is definitely a must watch. Gotta keep your eye on that one. So that'll be interesting to look out for. So Kansas City, to sum up basically what I'm saying, because I kind of been yapping about this. For Kansas City to continue to be dominant, it doesn't start through locking up CMC or Kittle or Ayuk. It starts with Debo and McDuffie. Or Sneed. Whoever's on Debo, they need to lock him up. That's what it starts with. I mean, I'm not going to say they need to stop the run. They need to stop the pass. They need to be better on special teams. Like, that's really good insight, Kyle. I'm like, thanks. It really starts, for me, it starts with Debo. Keys to the game for San Francisco. Here we go. All right. For San Francisco to win the Super Bowl and win their 5th ring, they're going to need to do this. Pound the rock. Pound it. That's the number one thing. You need to pound the rock. Okay? If they don't pound the rock, it might be over. They need to get CMC going early and often. Now, I'm not saying overwork him to the point where it gets too much, but you need to pound the rock. You also need to use Debo as a running back more, because once you have those CMC Debo Samuel backfields, it gets a lot. You need to have Debo in the backfield as much as possible. And then you need to contain Travis Kelce. Because once, and I know I'm kind of stating the obvious things, but these are definite things that need to happen. You need to lock. Fred Warner needs to lock up Travis Kelce for them to win. I mean, if all of those things happen, they probably will win. Keys to the game for Kansas City. Same thing here. You need to pound the rock. Build through Pacheco. Pacheco is the X factor for Kansas City in this game. You need to pound the rock early and often. Both teams need to pound the rock early and often. Kansas City has been so much better when they run the ball. When they give Pacheco the opportunity to pound the rock, they do so much better. Look at what they did with Baltimore. They ran all over them. Okay, and this year that Mahomes hasn't been as good through the year because Tony sucks and Valdez-Scantling is not really good. My second key to the game for Kansas City is get your bad receivers in open space. Guys like Tony, if they let him play, if they might be like, no, on the field. You need to get guys like Tony, guys like Valdez-Scantling. Those guys need to get an open space. Guys like Edwards-Helaire. Get those guys in open space. Look at what they did when I'm going to go back to the Baltimore game. They ran screens all the way down the field, and it worked. Why? Because they have athletically gifted guys who might not have the best hands in medium to long passing ranges, Get guys like Tony, even Pacheco, get those guys in open space. You need to work the underneath routes because Bosa, Young, Armstead, Kinlaw, they will be coming for you. So basically, another second key of the game: short, quick throws. Whether it's screens, drag routes, zig routes, doesn't matter. You need to get them out. And the third most important thing is containing Debo. And yes, I'm not going to go, you need to contain Debo and Ayuk and George Kittle and Juszczyk and the offensive line and Brock Purdy and CMC. Because I'm not, it starts with Debo. Because I'm not going to say you need to contain CMC because you're not going to be able to. That's not a key to the game because it's eventually going to happen. CMC's going to break one. And you're going to be like, damn, he broke one. Okay, whatever. You can't let Debo get into open space. Because they love running their weird wide receiver runs with Debo. You can't let him get in those screen plays because that offensive line's good, okay? And they have good block. Like Juwan Jennings is a good blocker. Ayuk's a good blocker. You can't let those guys block for Debo. So don't let Debo get into open space is basically what I'm saying. Because once he gets some rock, he gets a lot more, and it gets periodically worse for Kansas City. All right, those are my keys to the game for each side. So what I'm going to do is this. It's time for I'm going to do my Super Bowl pick and my Super Bowl MVP pick. So who I have winning the 2024 Super Bowl, who's going to be, the Chiefs or the Niners? I have the Chiefs winning 27-23. It's hard to go against. It's hard for me to go up against Patrick Mahomes. I struggle to go up against Patrick Mahomes. Now, quick asterisk. I don't want them to win. I don't want them to win at all. I don't want them to win at all. I don't. Genuinely speaking, I don't want them to win. If they win, I'm going to be so annoyed. Because they're going to be like, Taylor Swift. I swear, I can't deal with Taylor Swift anymore. But I just feel like there's too much strength with Kansas City and San Francisco. I just don't. And they're hungry because they're like, we blew a 10-point lead with 6 minutes left, and we ended up losing by 11. And our last, well, we want revenge. And look, let me tell you this. I just feel like, Kansas City's obviously more experienced. They were in the Super Bowl last year. And it's not just only winning the Super Bowl. They want to win a Super Bowl in the Raiders stadium before the Raiders do. Like that would be funny, you know. And what's even funnier is that the Chiefs are going to play a playoff game in Allegiant Stadium before the Raiders do. So why don't we make it a Super Bowl ring? So I have the Chiefs winning, and then my MVP pick is Patrick Mahomes for pretty obvious reasons. It's either going to be him or like Travis Kelce, and they're probably going to make it Travis Kelce for marketing reasons if the Chiefs win. But you know, so that's what I got. I got the Chiefs winning 27-23. Got Mahomes as my MVP. Before we wrap it up, I just want to talk about some wild Super Bowl bets that I've seen like this past week, like the last 2 weeks. There's a betting company who has odds of aliens invading the Super Bowl, and it's like plus 1 billion, and people are actually betting on it. Like, are you serious? You're gonna waste money because it's so stupid. I'm sorry, it's so stupid. And, like they're saying aliens are gonna come in and take over the Super Bowl. It's like okay, whatever. And, like that's so dumb. But it's Las Vegas. I mean, anything's possible. I saw one about odds of where Andy Reid's gonna go after the Super Bowl, whether it's Burger King or Wendy's or McDonald's. I thought that one was fun. It was pretty funny. What else is there? There was one on if Travis Kelce's gonna propose to Taylor Swift at after the thing, which I hope doesn't happen. I probably will if the Chiefs win today, which is gonna make me sick to my stomach. Okay. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. I didn't really plan to talk about betting because I'm not betting, but all right, that's what we got there. So my pick, I have the Chiefs winning 27-23 with Mahomes winning the MVP. I will say this again. I don't want them to win. I'm just assuming that this will happen because it's hard for me to go up against Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? All right. That's how we're going to end the Super Bowl episode 26. Be on the lookout for potential uploads on this channel as I transition from Twitch to YouTube full time. Keep this in mind. I will say this. This is going to be my last live stream for the foreseeable future until I don't know when, whether it's going to be the franchise tag deadline or the NFL draft. I'm not going to do one for a while. So don't come to my YouTube channel being like, "Where's he? Where's Kyle? He's not doing his live stream." Okay, I warned you. I warned you. That's how we're going to end the stream. We're going to wrap it up here. So again, make sure you sub here because all my next stuff's going to be here on Instagram. You have my IG right here. Go follow it. Yeah. All right. That's how we're gonna end the Super Bowl podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Make sure you stay updated. Use my IG for other updates. All right. See ya.